Hey guys, today I'm going to be replacing the water pump and the thermostat on this 2012 Toyota Prius. Alright, here are the tools that I'll be using today. Make sure to have a spill-free funnel for your coolant to refill, a brake clean to clean the mating surface for the water pump and thermostat, a 3/8 impact ratchet with an extension and a 10mm socket. I'm also using a 12mm socket, deep socket for a quarter ratchet, and a 10mm deep socket and a short 10mm socket as well, and a couple extensions with a pick to break the seal on the radiator hose and the coolant bypass hose. I'm using this half-inch extension to get leverage for the quarter ratchet when I'm getting bolted down there. A pickup tool, magnetic pickup tool in case you drop your tools or socket. Vice grip, needle nose flyer vice grip to get the clamp out, and this one as well for bigger coolant hose clamp. So the first thing you want to do is drain your engine coolant right here. If you don't know how to drain out your engine coolant, go ahead and watch our drain and refill video on that. And then after that, you're going to remove the engine cover, then the airbox assembly, the whole thing. And then we're going to get access to our water pump down there with the thermostat. Alright, to drain out your coolant, it's hard to see, but the petcock is right here. You're going to reach behind here and open up the butterfly valve in the back, and then it will drain out from right here. So make sure you have your bucket, drain pan, or whatever to drain it down here. Now you're going to open your radiator cap. Make sure your engine is not hot before you open it. Now remove the engine cover. Alright, next you have this connector that you need to remove. You're going to push down on the tab and then pull down on the connector. Then you got a 10mm worm clamp bolt that you need to remove. And then you unclip the hinge, pull it out, remove the top with the filter. There's 5 10mm bolts that you need to remove. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 to remove the bottom portion of the airbox. Make sure to unclamp the hose on the bracket. Okay, when you remove the lower airbox assembly, you'll see the water pumps right here and the thermostats right there. The water pump is held on by 5 bolts. There's 1, 2, and then there's 1 on the bottom in the midsection is hidden. That's the other 3rd bolt, and then there's 2 in the back that's longer. There's 1 and 2 in the back. And for the thermostat, it's held on by the lower radiator hose and the coolant bypass hose, and it's held on by 2 nut and 1 bolt on the bottom. So that's what we're going to try to do to remove. To start, I'm going to disconnect this connector. Pinch the top of the tab and pull out. I'm using a 1/4 inch ratchet with a 12mm deep socket to remove all the bolts. So I'm removing the bottom bolt first because I want to make sure I can break that loose before I remove all the rest of the other bolt. Here's the bottom bolt. Now removing the other 4 bolts should be easy since the bottom is the hardest. Now if you don't have leverage to break the bolt, I'm using a 1/2 extension for leverage. So I just insert the bottom end of it and I insert it into the 1/4 inch ratchet end and use it as leverage to break it. So same thing, I'm gonna break it. See how I use the end of the 1/2 extension to get the leverage. So same thing with the top bolt, using a half extension, insert it to the top end of the ratchet for more leverage. Make sure to hold it in place, and then you can use it to break the bolt loose, like that. Same with this side. Make sure to have your coolant pan down there, because the coolant is going to start draining from the water pump when you remove the bolt. Here's the back bolt. As you can see, is longer. The 3 in the front is shorter, 2 in the back is longer. Look like I have thread sealant right here. Here's the second one. Shorter bolt. So to remove it, you got to angle a little bit, or else it's not going to come out. Alright, to get access to the thermostat nuts and one bolt, I'm going to have to remove the coolant hose line first. I'm going to use a vice grip to clamp the hose down to remove the clamp out of the way and pull out the hose. So to break the hose loose, I'm going to use a pick to pick it around the hose so it loosens from the pipe itself, the plastic pipe. Then pull the hose. Bottom hose a little bit tougher than the coolant hose right here. This is a coolant bypass hose. There you go.
Once both hoses are pulled, go ahead and remove your nut and bolt. To access the bolt down here, I'm using a 1/4-inch ratchet with an extension to get access to the bolt, the 10mm bolt down here. Just be careful of removing this 10mm bolt, don't drop it. Now I'm going to remove the two 10mm nut with a ratchet. So it seemed like you do need to remove this 12mm bolt that is holding the dipstick out of the way so you could remove the thermostat. There's also a 12mm bolt down here that's holding the dipsticks that you gotta remove. Alright, once you remove the two bolts, you have more room to wiggle the thermostat out of the way, like that. Alright, here is the old water pump, and this is the new water pump with the gasket that came with it. Here's the old thermostat, and this is the new one. Make sure it all aligns and fit properly like that. As you can see, it's by Toyota. Amzn. This one is Amzn. You can see the Toyota, they etched it off. You can see the first letter is T right here. So it's the same part. Alright, before we put anything back in, we're going to clean our mating surface. I'm using brake clean to clean the area so that when I put it back in, the area is clean of debris, so prevent any leak from that area. Alright, once it's clean, you're ready to reassemble. I'm going to put the two nut in first, and then I'm going to put the bolt. Alright, for the bolt, you got to make sure don't drop the bolt because it's a lot of things down there that you won't be able to find. So I have it on a socket with the extension, and I'm going to put it in. Alright, the bolt is in. I'm tightening it right now. So I have my quarter ratchet here, torquing it down to 7 foot-pounds. Don't over tighten these small bolts and nuts. Now the bolt and 2 nuts are tightened. Go ahead and put back your coolant hose and coolant bypass hose. Alright, put the clamp back in. There you go. Now put back your dipstick bolt. The short one is the one on the bottom, and the long one is going to be on the top right here. So if you want to make it easier to put the bolt back in, you could remove the clip here and in the back here to give you more room in there. So you want to torque this bolt down to 15 foot-pounds. I just hand tighten this and it should be fine. Now for the top bolt, make sure to attach it back to the dipstick. And then put in your bolt. Now for this bolt, it is 21 foot-pounds, but I just hand tighten this with a quarter ratchet and the extension. Alright, now to put back the water pump, make sure you put your gasket in and it's seated properly, and it goes this way. So the plug area connector is on top. I'm going to put the long bolt in first from the top. Here's the first bolt. Make sure it's properly seated. Hand tighten the first bolt in. Now I'm going to do the rest. The bottom bolt is a little tricky, so you got to stick your hand down there to feed the bolt into the hole. And the last bolt is on the bottom to the side. Alright, now I'm going to use my ratchet to tighten it down. Alright, the last bolt, I'm hand tightening it from the bottom. So the torque specs for the 3 short bolt is 15 foot-pounds and the 2 long ones are 19 foot-pounds. So I'm just tightening it with a quarter ratchet. I don't think I can reach with a torque wrench down here, so I'm just going to torque it by hand. Just don't over torque it or you can break the bolt. Make sure double check your work. There's no loose bolts or anything like that. So connect your connector. After that, put back your lower airbox assembly back in. All 5 of these bolts are the same size, so you don't have to worry about mixing them up. You torque these both down to 5 foot-pounds each. Then you install your air filter and your upper airbox assembly. Make sure to connect this connector in the back. Clamp this thing down, torque this 10mm bolt back in. Put your engine cover back on, make sure it's seated on the 3 prongs. I'm going to tighten back the petcock on the bottom. Now time to refill your coolant. If you don't know how to refill your coolant, go ahead and watch our coolant refill, drain and refill. To put the vehicle into maintenance mode, make sure your parking brake is on or your e-brake is on. And then you're going to press the power twice. Fully depress the gas pedal twice. Press and hold the brake and put the vehicle into neutral. And then you're going to depress the gas pedal twice. And then you're going to press the park button. Then gas pedal twice again. Now you're going to turn on the vehicle by stepping on the brake and powering it on. And as you can see, the screen said maintenance mode. Alright, once you're done, make sure to double check your work. Make sure there's nothing going on that's loose. Make sure the connectors are plugged back in. The petcock is tightened already. Make sure there's no leak from the bottom. And yeah, that's it. I'll let the vehicle idle for about 20 minutes. If you want to make it go faster, you could go ahead and rev the vehicle to 2000 RPM. Maybe it'll go faster within like 10 to 15 minutes. The radiator fan might turn on. And then after that, your radiator is hot. Open the heater vent and air to hot, high. And after that, you're done. Alright, let me know what you think. Until next time.